Hello there, and welcome to Equip for Service and Ministry. This is where we equip the people of God to become leaders, to become better servants in the kingdom, in the marketplace, in the church, in ministry, in the family, and even much more. It's also how we transform God's people to become agents of change. Well, the world is yearning for change. The world is yearning for transformation, especially in the context of Africa. There is so much change and transformation that we need to focus on. And that's why for this season, we are focusing on transformational leadership. Transformational leadership. And if I can begin with a simple definition, when you talk about transformational leadership, what are we talking about? Well, this is a kind or the style of leadership, because there are many styles of leadership, in which the leader identifies the needed change and then creates a vision to guide the change through inspiration. So when you talk about inspirational or rather transformational leadership is a style where the leader, so there has to be a leader, and the leader identifies the change that is needed. Okay, so when you're a leader, well, you're not blind to issues. You're not blind to life, circumstances, situations, things that are happening around you. So you identify the change that is needed. And then after you identify the change needed or what needs to be done, you don't stop there. What do? You come up or you create a vision to guide the change through inspiration. Now, when you talk about vision, it's simply a mental picture of the future. Well, the Bible says without a vision, people perish. Without a vision, people perish. And therefore, if we don't want to perish, and perishing here does not necessarily mean, somebody will die, but it means they are, restrained. It means they cannot achieve much. It means they cannot go far. Okay? When you talk about without a vision, people perish, then it means these people can only rise to a certain level. There's a place they cannot get into. But a vision is a mental picture of the future. Therefore, you can see the future. We cannot just live for today and think about yesterday and what happened yesterday. There is a tomorrow that is coming. And I want to say tomorrow is not for everybody. Tomorrow is for the people that are visionary, people that have a mental picture of where they want to go. In other words, they can paint. And I remember growing up, and they would come and ask the children in lower primary, what do you want to become when you grow up? And every child would be thinking, well, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a farmer, I want to be this or the other. You're trying to create a mental picture in the lives of those children. And sometimes we ignore that. But when a child says, I desire, at a certain age, I desire or I want to become this, somehow there is something there's an inspiration. There's something in them that leads them to that direction. There is a reason why they don't say this or the other, and they say, I want to become this. And many times we, brush it off, and especially most parents want children to become something that they desire. And many times a lot of children actually become what the parents wanted them to be and not what the children were made for. So I want to say here, even at the very beginning, that each and every child growing up, there is that which the potential, if I may call it potential, that is inbuilt, that is in them. And I think for parents, for teachers, for ministers, for pastors, the best thing we can do is to bring out what is in this person, is trying to discover what is this person made for, what is it that is hidden in their lives, so that We don't try to make them what we desire. You know, every parent will have a dream. Teachers will have dreams, and they'll think, I want my students to go this direction. I want them to pass. You know, if it's a chemistry teacher, they want, you know, all the students to pass. If it's biology, the same. If it's history, the same. But you realize, you know, children come and you realize they are wired for something different. And therefore, it's important to expose people and children, particularly at a certain age, you know, teenagers, youth, to all kinds of choices that are given by life, because life gives us choices. So what do you need to do? You need to choose carefully. What is it? That's why below, let's say up to the age of 25, I believe by 25, each and every person should be able to have discovered what, you know, they are made of and what they're supposed to do in life. That's why somebody said that most people die at 25 only to be buried at 75. Well, think about that. That means they had a dream, or maybe at 25 they didn't know where they were going, and kind of all their dreams and vision collapsed, and you know, that was the end of it. And then they live up to 75, and that's when maybe physically they die. And I am reminded the words of a great man that died, Miles Monroe, who said that the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but to live a life without a purpose. So, I mean, it's important that all of us, each and every, including you and me, we live for a purpose. Now, listen, the challenge again, it comes in when people begin to compete, where everybody thinks, oh, it's a competition. So you get into the arena, you get into the race, and you're competing with everybody and about everything. And you see something you want to copy and paste. You copy this today, you copy that tomorrow, you copy that the next day. And then at the end, you don't even know why you're here. You don't even realize that you are unique. Your giftings are unique. Your way of doing things is, very unique. That's why when you look at the world, about 8 billion people, there's nobody who looks like you. You're unique. If you travel from here, you go to China with the 1.3 billion people, you will stand out. When you go to America, 350 million people, you will stand out. The whole of Africa, almost 1 billion people, you will stand out. You go to Europe, about 700 million people, you will stand out. Any place you go to, you will stand out because you are unique. And that brings you, or should bring you, to a place of comfort, okay? Where you realize that I am unique. I am uniquely wired. I am not like anybody else in the world. God didn't create you and then made a copy, or create somebody else and made a copy. You're not even a copy of your father. You're not a copy of your mother. You're not a copy of anybody. You are not a copy of your parents. No. They were only agents that God used to bring you here. So you need to now stand on your own and stand for yourself and believe that you are here on a purpose, and there is a reason why God kept you here. So the transformational leadership is a kind of leadership that the leader identifies the needed change, creates a vision to guide the change through inspiration, and then executes the change with a commitment of the members of the group. Then, after you have discovered this is the change needed, and you have a vision for it, you can see it very clearly, then what do? You determine to execute the change. Well, the problem is that many people procrastinate. A lot of people get to the place where, yes, they can see, I need to do this, I need to go this way, I need to accomplish this, there's a change here that is needed, but yet they do not do anything about it. They procrastinate. Okay? They keep postponing, they keep thinking, maybe one day. And before you realize, the year is gone. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and time is over. And time waits for no one. So you have to also know how to manage your time so that you can manage your life, manage the resources that you have been given, And also, finally, make sure after you have discovered the dream, the vision, you are inspired, you're really determined to execute this, then you have the commitment to do it. Commitment is another key word in this statement. We are still defining transformational leadership. Now, commitment is key. Nothing happens without commitment. No change, no transformation, nothing great happens without commitment. Anytime you see people that have accomplished great things, and I'm sure when I say that, there are people that come to your mind. Some of them living, others are dead. Okay? You see big institutions, corporations, companies, businesses, and all that. It is because somebody committed to do something. Now, some of you who love eggs, when you get an egg from a chicken, somehow you can be sure that chicken, it is still somewhere, it's still living somewhere. But when you eat pork, you can be sure that pig, it's not there anymore. Okay? You can't get 3 kilos from a pig, and then you come tomorrow, get another 2 kilos, and it continues living. But you can get 2 eggs today from a chicken, and some others tomorrow, some others are, you can go for months and months getting eggs from the same, the same chicken. So what I'm saying is that, I can use that analogy to say that the pig commits. It is that kind of commitment that is full commitment, where you determine that I am not reserving anything. I'm not giving myself 99%, but 100%. Because if you believe, and I think why most people don't commit is because they don't believe in something. But for people who believe in a certain cause, okay, these are people that commit for it. Now, if you see people committing 50%, 70%, 80%, 90%, it's because there's still some level of unbelief in whatever they are committing themselves to. But again, the people who succeed and do great things are people who are 100% committed. People who decide, well, I am in this, I don't have a plan B. It is either I succeed or succeed. I'm not going to look back. I'm not going to turn back. I don't have another plan. I am here to succeed. And those people will be committed. They will be persistent. They will be consistent. They will fight for the dream because they have decided I am here to succeed. That's why somebody like Moses, when God says, well, go and call my children out of bondage, he had to go to Pharaoh for 10 times. That's commitment. Well, somebody would have said, well, I've been here 5 times. Let me try one more time. And I'm sure even if it didn't happen 10 times, it should have gone 15 times, 20 times, because he was committed. We are getting out of here. And then Pharaoh asks, Moses, and he says, well, when these people go, can we be left with the young people? And Moses says, no, we are committed. We are taking everybody with us. Then, can you leave us your animals? Moses says, no, we are not leaving animals. No chicken, no cattle, no sheep. We are not leaving nothing. We are committed 100% victory, 100% deliverance. He said, actually, even the hooves of the animals, even the bones, whatever it is that belongs to us, we are not leaving anything behind. That's commitment. And that's why many visions, many dreams do not succeed because they lack commitment. People get into business, but there's no commitment. They get into marriage, but there's no commitment. They are trying. You can't live your life, okay, with a trial and error. No. You can't live your life like you're experimenting. You remember when you went to physics lab and you're experimenting, and then they say there is a margin of error that is allowed, maybe plus or minus 5. plus or minus 2. So there is an error margin that you are given. But in life, there is nothing like that. You can't get into marriage with a margin of error where you think, I'm here, it may work or not work. Okay? No, it has to work 100%. So that resolve in your mind, that commitment in your mind is very important, very critical. Okay? Where you decide, I will succeed. I will make it. I will do it. Okay? I'm reminded of two people, Joshua and Caleb, in the scriptures. When Moses sent the 10 spies to go and spy the land. If you read the book of Numbers, you will see the story. And the 10 of them came and said, yes, the land is good. We see the fruit is flowing with the milk and honey, but they put a B-U-T, but. And that is a problem with many people. They put that B-U-T, they turn around, they say, yes, I can see, it's good to succeed, good life, I love to enjoy good life, marriage is good, business, I can succeed, but they put a negative connotation to show that this is not possible. They could have it 80% good, but they still put but. And those people did not succeed. But Joshua and Caleb decided, well, we will make it. It's possible. They didn't come with a but. And you see, these people, the 12 of them, they all saw the same thing. These other 10 said, oh, they are giants. And they said, well, when we look at these giants in our own eyes, we look like grasshoppers. We look so small. We look so tiny. They will kill us. They will swallow us. And let alone, Joshua sent some spy. And when these spies, they went in there and they found a woman, and the woman was saying, from the day we heard about you people, we have been afraid. We were shaken. That's why we built these walls. Okay? So these people are already afraid of them. But again, they are thinking, these are giants. Have you realized that some of the things you are afraid of, some of the challenges, some of the things you think are impossible, they are possible. I always say, if one person broke the record or did it, and I think this has been seen in the world of athletics, the people who run, and every time there's a new record to be broken, it's always hard. It's almost impossible for everybody. But when one man breaks the record, then it becomes easy. Everybody comes in now. They're able to break the record. Why? It's because they realize it can be done. So anytime you see something that has been done, even by one person, that should tell you it's possible. But again, you can also be the pioneer, okay? Because as human beings, most of the time, we are tempted to think that, well, somebody else has to go first. Somebody else has to be the pioneer. You can carry the spirit that was in David when he killed Goliath. He decided, I will be the pioneer. For 40 days or 39 days, the whole nation would come, great men would come, they would see this giant and run away. But he decided, I will be a pioneer, meaning I will do what has not been done. My friend, you can't go through this life and all you do is to see what others have done. You can also, in your own unique way, and I'm not saying you do something, what they call out of this world. It could be something you think is small, but that which you think is small can even be improved by others, because most of the time pioneers will start something and then other people will pick it up and run with it and do even greater. Well, some of the things we are seeing today in technology, in business, in all kinds of things, then it's somebody who started. And some of them are even long, gone. But people are still building on what they started. Well, so you have two choices. You can begin, but also you can build on what others have done, and that's okay. Well, Steve Jobs, who worked for iPhone, or who started the technology, well, he died, but people are still building. I don't remember when he died. It was iPhone what? But today, I believe we have iPhone 16. So every year, there's a new iPhone coming out. Why? Because people are not sleeping. People are still working. People are still thinking. People are still growing, because transformational leadership calls for growth, calls for consistency, calls for improving what is already in existence, so that we don't find something. And I think that has been also a problem in Africa, where we find things that were started, and instead of improving on them, you find them, they are collapsing. How many businesses in Kenya have failed? There are people who started great businesses, great vision, whether in industry, tea industry. Every time I go home, in Muranga, I always see the coffee farms that nobody takes care of anymore, because there are people who kind of hurt the business, the industry, the coffee industry, okay? But there are people who did very well. I remember in the 80s when we would harvest coffee and take it to the factory and carry it and spend 3-4 nights in the factory just, waiting to sell the coffee. And it was a lot. It was, hundreds and thousands of, bags of coffee. And people are educating their children, building nice homes, because there are people who are adding value. So in transformational leadership and in vision, we have to be a people that add value, okay? Because there are people, instead of adding value, they bring down the value. So ask yourself, are you that person that adds value? Are you the person that brings down the value, such that you're left with something, you're left with a house, and in 2 years, the value has gone down instead of going up? That's wrong. You're left with a farm for 3 years. Instead of adding value, the value comes down. I think we should be thinking in that direction, especially in Africa. That when we find, I remember there used to be KTM in Thika, the Kenya textile, industry and all that. There were many KVM and others. I mean, there were big corporations and businesses that were established, like Mumias, like others, and they were doing very well. And some of them, later on, they were ran down. And I realized in Africa, there are so many things that are ran down for lack of vision. Okay? Because again, we go back to the word we said, the scripture, that without a vision, people perish. In other words, businesses, corporations, and even nations. Today, there are nations in Africa and in the world that are collapsing, that are coming down because they have been ran down. They are being destroyed. There's no progress. There's no growth. There is no increase. When you plant a tree or a fruit tree, you expect that in a few years you'll come and find some fruit. The same thing, the same way life, we should handle life with that kind of understanding. And that should be our perspective in life. That whatever we find, we live it better. Okay? That's important. Don't leave situations, circumstances, business, whatever it is you find, live it better. Think every day, what can I do to improve this business? Now, if you're working somewhere, you may not be the owner of that business. You may not be the proprietor. You may not be the manager. But always ask yourself, for the years I will be here, it may be 1 year, it may be 5 or 10, it may be more. But this should always be your concern. Am I gonna add value to this business, or am I gonna bring it down? And we have seen businesses, companies calm down because there came a people, even people who inherit sometimes, businesses from their parents, and maybe their parents are gone. And after some time you wonder, oh, what happened to that business? What happened to that farm? What happened to that company? It came down. Why? Oh, you didn't hear the owner died. That should not be the case. Even if the owner died, the people who assume ownership should take it to a higher level. Instead of bringing it down, they should be thinking how they can take it to a higher level. All that calls for like a number of things I've talked about. One is you have to be inspired, and you have to identify the change, and then you have to be a man or a woman of vision, and then you have to be the person that is committed to execute the vision. And next time I'll talk about vision even deeper and see how can we become a people of greater vision. And we'll talk, go deeper and see what is a vision and how can we have our own personal vision and even corporate vision so that we can bring change and transformation in our world. Remember, life is a chance, life is a gift. We are only here for a season. None of us is here forever. But for the season, for the time we are here, like the wise Solomon said, time and chance is given to all. So this is your time. It is our time. It is our season. Let's make change. Let's bring the transformation. See you next time.